केवल भक्ति सत्मा श्री गुरु चरण पद्मा। बंधमोई सावधान माटे गुरु जहरा प्रसादे भाई ए भावा तोरिया जाय। जहरा प्रसादे भाई ए भावा तोरिया जाय। कृष्ण प्राप्ति होय जहाँ होय ते, कृष्ण प्राप्ति होय जहाँ होय ते। श्री गुरु चरणे रति ऐसे उत्तम गति। श्री गुरु चरणे रति ऐसे उत्तम गति। जे प्रसाद पूरे सर्वा आशा, प्रसाद पूरे सर्वा आशा। गुरुमुख पद्मा वाक्या चित्ते ते कोरिया क्या। गुरुमुख पद्मा वाक्या चित्ते ते कोरिया क्या। आरना करियो मने आशा, श्री गुरु चरणे रति ऐसे उत्तम गति। श्री गुरु चरणे रति ऐसे उत्तम गति। जे प्रसाद पूरे सर्वा आशा, चक्षुदान दिलो जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से। चक्षुदान दिलो जे जन्मे जन्मे दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो। ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो। प्रेमा भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाश जाते। भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाश जा। वेदे गाय जय हर चरितो, ते गाय जय हर चरितो। श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आज मज नर बंधु। गुरु करुणा सिंधु आद मज नर बंधु। लोकनाथ लोकेरा जीवाना। हाँ हाँ प्रभु करो दयो देह मोरे पादा छाया। एबे जास गुसुप त्रिभुवाना। दुई पादे लोइलो सेराना। दुई पादे लोइलो शेराना। श्रीला प्रभुपाद पतित पावाना। जयो प्रभुपादा जयो प्रभुपादा जयो प्रभुपादा। श्री Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jayo, Prabhupada Jayo, Prabhupada Jayo, Jayo Prabhupada Jayo, Prabhupada Jayo, Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namo Vishnupadaya Saya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine. Jayo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radha Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar, Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar, Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar, Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar. Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar, Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar, Jaya Radha Shyam, Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar, Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar, Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar, Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar. Radha Shyam Sundar, Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar, Jaya Radha Shyam, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladev, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladev, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladev, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath. Jai Jagannath, Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. कि बजयो जयो गौरा चंदे आरती को शोभा कि बजयो जयो गौरा चंदे आरती को शोभा कि बजयो चंदे आरती को शोभा जया जय घोरा चंदे आरती को शोभा जानवी तटवाने जगमन लोभा जानवी तटवाने जगमन लोभा कि बदखीने निताई छान बामे गदाधारा निकटे अद्वैताशिनी वसा छत्रधारा निकटे अद्वैताशिनी वसा छत्रधारा कि बबसी यचे गोरा चांद रत्न सिंहासने यचे गोरा चांद रत्न सिंहासने आरती कोरे न ब्रह्मा आदि देवगाने आरती कोरे न ब्रह्मा आदि देवगाने कि बनरा हरि आदि कोरी चमर दुलाया हरि आदि कोरी चमर दुलाया संजया मुकुंदा बासु गोसादि गाया संजया मुकुंदा बासु आदि गाया कि बशंखा बजे घंटा बाजे बाजे करताला बाजे घंटा बाजे बाजे करताला मधुरा मृदंगा बाजे परामरसाला गंगा बाजे परामरसाला शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे मधुर 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 शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे जे घंटा बाजे बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे, शंख बाजे घंटा मधुर मधुर मधुर, शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे, घंटा बाजे मधुर मधुर मधुर, शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे, घंटा बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे, मधुर 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 बाजे, मधुर मधुर बाजे। निताई गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल, निताई गौर हरि बोल, हरि बोल निताई गौर हरि, निताई गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल, हरि बोल निताई गौर हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल, हरि बोल निताई गौर हरि बोल। कि बाबा हो कोटि चंद्रझिनी, वदन उज्ज्वला, कि बाबा हो कोटि चंद्रझिनी, वदन उज्ज्वला, गला देसे बनमाला, कोरे झलमाला, गला देसे बनमाला, कोरे झलमाला, कि बसिवा सुख नारद, प्रेमे गदा गदा, सुख नारद, प्रेमे गदा गदा, भक्ति विनोदा देखे गौरारा संपादा, भक्ति विनोदा देखे गौरारा संपादा, कि बजया जय गौरा चंदे, आरती को शोभा, जय गौरा चंदे, आरती को शोभा, जानवी तटवानी, जग मन लोभा, गौरांगे आरती शोभा, जग जन मन लोभा, गौरांगे आरती शोभा, जग जन मन लोभा, गौरांगे आरती शोभा, जग जन मन लोभा, जग जन मन लो, गौरांगे आरती शोभा, जग जन मन लोभा, गौरांगे आरती शोभा, जग जन मन लो, निताई गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल, बोल निताई गौर हरि बोल, निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमः विष्णुपदाय श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्तवृंदा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्तवृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्तवृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्तवृंदा Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
You singing? You want to sing? No, are you singing?
If you want, you can sing something.
Can I sing?
Okay.
नामस्ते नरसिंहाय नामस्ते नरसिंहाय प्रहलाद लाददायिने प्रहलाद लाददायिने हिरण्यकाशीपूर्वक्षः हिरण्यकाशीपूर्वक्षः शिलतनखानखालाये शिलतनखानखालाये इतो नरसिंहो परतो नरसिंहो इतो नरसिंहो परतो नरसिंहो यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहो यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहो बाहे नरसिंहो हृदये नरसिंहो बाहे नरसिंहो हृदये नरसिंहो नरसिंहमदें शरणां प्रपदे नरसिंहमदें शरणां प्रपदे तव कर कमल वरे नाखाम अद्भुत श्रृंगार दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनभृंगा केशवधीता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तव कर कमल वरे नाखाम अद्भुत श्रृंगार दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनभृंगा केशवधीता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवधीता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नर हरि जय नर हरि जय नर हरि जय नर हरि जय लक्ष्मी नरसिम्हा जय लक्ष्मी नरसिम्हा जय लक्ष्मी नरसिम्हा जय लक्ष्मी नरसिम्हा जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव नरसिंह भगवान की प्रहलाद महाराज की निताई गौर प्रेमानंद है।
Cell phone check, please. You have a drum for me? Or carts also are all right. If there's a drum, I'll take that, maybe. Of course, people, anyway, I'll just, carts also are all right. This is okay. I'll take it, thank you. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jashodanandana Raja Jana Ranjana Jashodanandana Raja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajakacharya Stotra Sri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Sridhar Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kundi Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Tham Ki Jai. Navadip Tham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamana Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Thank you all very much for being here this evening. Is our volume okay? Yeah, it's okay. This is Bhagavad Gita as it is. What happened to the cell phone check? Okay, Dushra cell phone check, Kripya. Bhagavad Gita as it is, 6th chapter, texts 13 and 14. Samam kaya shiro grivam tarayan achalang stiraha sampreksha nasikagram swang dishasjanavalokayan Prashantatma Vigatabhir Brahmacari Vritestitaha Manasanyamya Machchitto Yukta Asita Matparaha. One should hold one's body, neck, and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. Om Jnana Timirantasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurn Miditam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadhati Shapadantikam Pandehang Sri Guru Sri Jatapadakamanang Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hodi Priye Vansha Kolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhobhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Samam kaya shiro grivam dharayan achalam stiraha sampreksha nasikagram swam dishaschan avalokayan prashantatma vigata bhir brahmacari vrate stitaha manasangyamya machchitto yukta asita matpadar. In this section of the 6th chapter, Lord Sri Krishna describes the Jnana Yoga system. Shucho Deshe Pratishtapya, one has to go off to a sacred place, Stira Masana Matmanaha, and establish an asana, not utritam, not inicham, not too high, not too low, Chailajana Kushotaram with deerskin and kusa grass. Chailajana Kushotaram. Then Tatraikagram Mana Kritva Yatachitendriya Kriyaha Yukta Upavishyasane Yunjad Yogamatma Vishuddhaye. One has to control the mind in a secluded place, Shucho Deshe, a sacred place, and then one has to focus the mind and purify the self, Yogamatma Vishuddhaye. Then one has to sit straight with the body, the head and the spine in a straight line. Samam kaya shiro grivam dharyan achalam stiraha. And one has to fix the eyes on the tip of the nose, half open eyes, half open so that one doesn't become distracted and one doesn't fall asleep. Prashantatma, and with a peaceful mind, vigata bhi, free from fear. Brahmacari vratestitaha, situated in the vow of brahmacharya, celibacy. Manasamyamya, much chitta, with the mind completely under control. Much chitta, one has to think of Krishna. Yukta sita matparaha, and make Krishna the ultimate goal of life. Manasangyamya machchitta madgata prana bodhiyanta. Oh, one has to become Krishna conscious. That's the whole point of the yoga system. Srila Prabhupada says the goal of life is to know Krishna, who is situated within the heart of every living being as Paramatma, the four-handed Vishnu form. The yoga process is practiced in order to discover and see this localized form of Vishnu, and not for any other purpose. The localized Vishnu Murti is the plenary representation of Krishna dwelling within one's heart. One who has no program to realize the Vishnu Murti is uselessly engaged in mock yoga practice and is certainly wasting his time. There's so many yoga practices. Yoga is very popular, but practically there's nothing for spiritual realization. Look good, feel good, maybe feel spiritual, but practically nothing for genuine spiritual understanding. But here, the yoga system is practiced for seeing the form of Vishnu. Dhyana vastata tadgatena manasa pashyantiyam yogino. This is the point. Yoga. Yoga means connection. Connection with Vishnu, finally. So otherwise, it's mock yoga. It's just a sham. Call it what you will. Hot yoga, cold yoga, this yoga, that yoga. But it has no spiritual value, or next to no spiritual value. As Prabhupada said, it's a waste of time. Krishna is the ultimate goal of life. And the Vishnu Murti, situated in one's heart, is the object of yoga practice. To realize this Vishnu Murti within the heart, one has to observe complete abstinence from sex life. Therefore, one has to leave home and live alone in a secluded place, remaining seated as mentioned above. One cannot enjoy sex life daily at home or elsewhere and attend a so-called yoga class and thus become a yogi. So, Brahmacari Vritestitaha. They're just, the popularity of the present-day yoga would evaporate within moments if this requirement were advertised. Rather, we want to practice yoga so everything in our life will be better, especially sex life. But Brahmacari Vritestitaha, to practice this dhyana yoga system, one has to observe strict brahmacharya. One has to practice controlling the mind and avoiding all kinds of sense gratification, of which sex life is the chief. In the rules of celibacy written by the great sage Yajnavalkya, it is said, Karmana manasa vacha sarvavastasu sarvada sarvatra maituna tyago brahmacharjang prachakshate. The vow of brahmacharya is meant to help one completely abstain from sex indulgence in work, words, and mind at all times, under all circumstances, and in all places. No one can perform correct yoga practice through sex indulgence. That's another nonsense that some so-called yogis are advertising. Essentially, that this is yoga. You have sex like a a dog, the more the better, and this is yoga. This is nonsense. Brahmacharya is taught, therefore, from childhood, when one has no knowledge of sex life. Children at the age of 5 are sent to the Gurukul, or the place of the spiritual master, and the master trains the young boys in the strict discipline of becoming brahmacharis. Without such practice, no one can make advancement in any yoga, whether it be dhyana, jnana, or bhakti. One who, however, follows the rules and regulations of married life, having a sexual relationship only with his wife, and that also under regulations, is also called a brahmachari. Such a restrained householder brahmachari may be accepted in the bhakti school. But the jnana and dhyana schools do not even admit householder brahmacharis. They require complete abstinence without compromise. So this is the Vedic system. The goal is to get free from birth and death, then go back home, back to Godhead. That's not possible if one's mind is preoccupied with sex. The modern civilization makes sex the main focus. Pumsa striya maitunam pavametam. Tayor mitto hridaya grantamahu. And when there's sex, then the knot of attachment in the heart becomes very strong. Griha kshetra sutta apta vittai. One wants a home, property, children, money, relatives. Janasya mohoyam mahamamiti. In this way, one becomes overwhelmed by illusion, thinking, I'm this body, this is mine. So yoga means to get free from that. Therefore, in the dhyana yoga system, no sex. Brahmachari vritestita. No sex. Go to the forest and leave the internet behind, leave everything behind, leave sex behind, and just become Krishna conscious. That's yoga. All this other stuff is rubbish. The training would begin at 5 years old. These students were not sent to the schools and colleges where they could mix boys and girls together and agitate their minds for sense gratification, or go beyond the mental platform and get involved in playing around. Brahmachari Gurukule Basantanta Gururita. The priority was given that let the child become free from birth and death. So let him become freed from the shackles of sex life. This is in Brahmacari Ashram. If possible, he could remain Brahmachari for his whole life. Otherwise, he was allowed to marry, and the householders are also counted as brahmacharis when they follow the regulative principles. That is, that sex life should just be for having Krishna-conscious children, not for, as they say, recreation or for enjoyment of the senses. So that's restrained householder life. That actually the business is to serve Krishna. And having children for Krishna is also counted as service. Otherwise, having sex, that's not counted as service. That's counted as service to the senses, but not service to Krishna. In the Bhakti school, a householder brahmachari is allowed controlled sex because the cult of Bhakti Yoga is so powerful that one automatically loses sexual attraction being engaged in the superior service of the Lord. That's the idea, that one focuses one's mind on Krishna so that one loses the taste for this physical enjoyment, material enjoyment. In the Bhagavad Gita, Vishayavani vartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjam rasopyasya parang drishtva nivartate. Whereas others are forced to restrain themselves from sense gratification, a devotee of the Lord automatically refrains because of superior taste. Other than the devotee, no one has any information of that superior taste. So this is Krishna consciousness. By chanting, by hearing, by serving Krishna, one gets a higher taste so that he forgets about the so-called happiness of these lower things. That's the standard of Krishna consciousness. Bhaktir parasyano bhavo viraktir anyatracha. The sign of advancement in Krishna consciousness is that one becomes detached from sense gratification. Becomes detached because he has something better. I may have some old dry biscuits if you give me a nice feast, rasgulla and halwa and so many things. I'll forget that old biscuit. So this is the superior taste, Krishna consciousness. Vigata bhi. One cannot be fearless unless one is fully in Krishna consciousness. A conditioned soul is fearful due to his perverted memory, his forgetfulness of his eternal relationship with Krishna. The Bhagavatam says, Bhayam dvitiya binibeshita syat, ishad apetasya viparyayo smritihi. Krishna consciousness is the only basis for fearlessness. Therefore, perfect practice is possible for a person who is Krishna conscious. And since the ultimate goal of yoga practice is to see the Lord within, a Krishna conscious person is already the best of all yogis. The principles of the yoga system mentioned herein are different from those of the popular so-called yoga societies. All right, let's see if there's some questions. Yes. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the enlightening wisdom. Maharaj, how do we develop aversion to the idea of enjoying separately from Krishna?
How do we develop an aversion to the idea of enjoying separately from Krishna? The main way Prabhupada points to is that you develop a higher taste, so that you think, Yadavadi Krishna Padada Vindayo. Yeah, go ahead. Tadavadi Nadi Sangame Smaryamani Mokavikara Shushtu Nistivanamcha. The Kulashekar Maharaj not Kulashekar Maharaj, Jamunacharya. Jamunacharya says that he was a king, so he was previously, so he had all facility for sense gratification. But he says that now, since I'm enjoying the ever new taste of Krishna consciousness, the nectar from the lotus feet of Krishna, Tadavadi, whenever I think of sense gratification, Nari Sangas Paryamane, then my mouth turns and we may have that experience that we had some taste for some lower thing. And now when we think about it, we think, just like the devotees who may have previously been accustomed to non-vegetarian food. So since they get nice Krishna prasadam, whenever they think of those other things, then, although previously they may have thought those other things were so nice, now because they have knowledge and they have a higher taste, when they think of those things, they do. Horrible. So one has to get that higher taste, otherwise one may be restrained from sense gratification, but the mind is still going on. Oh, I wish I could, I wish I could, I wish I could. I so much want to. But just by force, that's also good, at least by force he's keeping himself out of trouble. But the real thing is to be so absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Therefore one is advised, always be busy. Always be busy in Krishna's service. Not idle. And busy serving Krishna one way or another way. By hearing, by chanting, by reading, by practical service. So that one will be happily situated in Krishna consciousness, and when one thinks of that other business, then he thinks, is that all right? Also by knowledge, by hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam, one gets enlightened on these things. One gets the perspective of the sages and sees these things for what they are. Just skin rubbing on skin, what happiness is that? So he gets the perspective of the sages, and how much happiness. A few moments worth of happiness, and for that, so much entanglement. So much trouble. And then illicit sex or illicit sex, the result is that, again, I have so many complications in my life. I have to work, or I have to please the partner. I have to spend money, and so many things. So, better to be happy chanting Hare Krishna. And if there's sex life, then it should be controlled, purposeful, not just willy-nilly. Is that okay? Something else? That Yayati, he was very lusty, and he was cursed by his father-in-law, Shukracharya, for having sex with the maidservant of his wife, Shukracharya's daughter. He was cursed that now you'll become an old man. But then later Shukracharya understood that if my daughter's husband becomes an old man, that's not very good for my daughter. So then he allowed, all right, you can become young again if one of your sons will take your old age. So mostly they didn't want to. But one son, Yadu, took it. Then Shukracharya, Yayati was very happy, so he could now enjoy sex like anything. But later he understood that, what is it? He told the story to his wife of a he-goat and a she-goat, because he'd gotten involved with the girl. She was trapped in a well without her clothes, and the king rescued her. And naturally, in the process of rescuing her, he took a look and got to see that she was pretty nice looking. He became attracted. She also became attracted to the king. He pulled her out of the well, and then they got married. But then these other things happened. So finally, in old age, the Yayati told the story to his wife of a she-goat and a he-goat, and how the she-goat got trapped in a well, and how the he-goat, with his horns, scratched at the side of the well and pulled her out, and how they were then able to enjoy sex life like anything. But how the father of the she-goat cut off the testicles of the he-goat. But then again they were restored. So he told the whole story, basically his life, their life. And he became renounced. He understood this is just the business of the he-goat and the she-goat, and is glorified as love and all of that. But it's simply he-goat, she-goat. So with that understanding, he became detached and went on for perfection. Rupa Goswami also cautions that if you're at all attracted to society and friendship and love, then don't go down to the Keshi Ghat. Why shouldn't I go? Oh, because there's that boy who's known as Govinda. And he's standing so beautifully in the moonlight, in his threefold bending form and playing on his flute. You'll forget all about your society, friendship, and love. So don't go. That means indirectly he's advising that we should all see the beautiful form of Govinda so that we'll lose our attraction for material life. Is that okay? Something else? Mm-hmm.
We know that we have 4 yugas.
Mm.
Satyuga, Dwapara Yuga, Krita Yuga.
No, is there anything else about the class? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. What is that? Mahat sevam dwaramahur vimukte tamo dwaram yoshita sangam. That service to the pure devotee of the Lord opens the door to liberation from material existence. And the door to darkness, to ignorance, is opened by association with those who are too attached to women. Notice it's not opened by attachment to women, it's opened by attachment to those who are attached to women. Otherwise, the attachment to a woman is allowed under control, but the association of those who are simply attached to sex life is not good for spiritual life. Tamo dwaram, that opens the doors to darkness. Attached means attached through Krishna. Just to be attached to devotees because they're good guys, good girls, and they're nice, and we like their personalities, is superficial. The best association with devotees is in relation with Krishna. To enliven one another by Krishna Katha, to serve together, to accomplish something for the spiritual master, for Krishna. Just like Sudama and Krishna, they were carrying out the work of their spiritual master, gathering firewood. And a storm came up, and there were so many difficulties they went through. And then later, the next day, their spiritual master sent someone and found them. But then years later, when Sudama came to visit Krishna, Krishna was remembering. Do you remember those days when we were trapped in the storm while we were gathering firewood for Guru Maharaj? So the relationship was especially established through service. We were serving together. Then Krishna is the center, Krishna's representative. Then the relationship is on the platform of eternal existence, not on the superficial platform of the body and the mind. Yes?
Hare Krishna Maharaj for the wonderful lecture. My question is, a devotee will have affection for another devotee. That's natural. But sometimes they have some negativity towards non-devotee or someone who is not part of the movement. Is it appropriate feeling or something?
Negative feeling, is it we have affection for devotees? Is it proper to have negative feelings toward the non-devotees? One is advised, what is that? Maitri, Ishra tad adhineshu, balisheshu, Kripa, Maitri, Upeksha. And this is the qualification of the Madhyamadikari. For what is non-devotees, if they're innocent, balisheshu, just like children, childish non-devotees, then he's merciful to them. He tries to give them Krishna consciousness. He doesn't hate them. He tries to be generous to them, be kind to them, give them a chance to be engaged in Krishna's service. But if they're hardcore materialists, opposed to Krishna consciousness, demonic, then upeksha, he avoids them, he ignores them. Not worth the trouble. Doesn't hate them, he just ignores them. Just like a doctor, if the patient is curable, he tries his best to save the patient. Even if the patient calls him ill names, or sometimes you're trying to, something stings and the patient is like practically punching you. But the doctor doesn't take offense, he tries to cure the patient. But if a case is too far gone, then he just scratches it off. What is that called? Triage? you try to save those who can be saved, and those who are hopeless cases, just leave them aside. Shall we stop here? You can ask me personally a question. Okay, thank you all very much. Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Prema Maitri Kripopeksha. Prema Maitri Kripopeksha. Just sit patiently. We'll have 20 minutes of announcements, and then there'll be prasadam. Is that right? Here, have a microphone. You'll use it better than I will.
Gift for the sponsor.
A gift for the sponsor.
So today's Sunday feast is sponsored by Ajay Agarwal Prabhu for his, in memory of his father, Sri Jagadish Chand Agarwal, his 85th birthday, and recently passed away on May 12th. So let's pray for Jagadish Chand Agarwal and our Ajay Agarwal Prabhu's family. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Ajay Agarwal Prabhu, if you are here, please come forward. You can take token gift from Maharaj. And from November 24th to 28th, we have Thanksgiving retreat by His Holiness Ramapal Swami Maharaj. So the schedule is posted on the WhatsApp group. You can register. So if you like to know more details, please contact Prem Kishore Prabhu, other side, or one of us is outside. The next upcoming big festival is December 14th, Tuesday, is Mokshada Ekadasi and Gita Jayanti. So this is Gita Jayanti Marathon, this whole December month. So please take Bhagavad Gita books and distribute to your friends, families, and participate in book distribution marathon. Please contact Simhesa Prabhu if you like to participate in book distribution. And we have, I think, we have scores? Book distribution score? You have or no? So we'll have book distribution scores.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Hare Krishna. So December 14th is the Gita Jayanti day. And every year that we do that, distribute books to everybody. Srila Prabhupada mentioned very clearly, books are the basis. Preaching is the essence. There are 4 pillars of our society. Books are the basis, preaching is the essence, utility is the principle, purity is the force. Anything which we come to this stage of devotion, that it should all start from the knowledge, information about the Supreme Lord. So we know that there are so much potential outside there. What all we need to do is actually just, at least everybody sitting here, just take a commitment that, just commit that, at least I would distribute Srila Prabhupada's books on this very auspicious month of Gita Jayanti. So that's all we need to do. Just take this commitment, at least some extent, some books, especially Bhagavad Gita, so that this transforms the lives in great extent, and we all know that how it transforms. So I humbly request everybody, please take part in this wonderful December marathon drive. Would you like to be part of it? Would you like to be part? Anybody? Say Haribol loudly. Haribol, Haribol. So devotees will approach and we will make it teams. So everybody can, at least some extent during the weekdays, you can call out the people, you can contact your friends and families and relatives, or this is the best time to give us a gift to the, many gifts are actually Thanksgiving and the December for the doctors, whoever you are more closely connected with, schools and teachers and so many ways. So I humbly request, please take this opportunity, and this is the way we can please Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada pleased most that when even one Bhagavad Gita or one book is distributed a day, that pleases Srila Prabhupada most. So I humbly request everybody please take part, and at least some extent, and we would approach you. And also we will have the Gita Jayanti Yajna on December 14th. And would also like to sponsor the Bhagavad Gita so that we can distribute, you can take it your home, and you can become a Yajnapati of each chapters of Bhagavad Gita, so that you get one full box of Bhagavad Gita. So then you can distribute to others and whomever you want. So I humbly request, please take part once again, and our devotees will contact you. We will put you in a team so that you can, some extent every week, spend some hours so that we can have a wonderful book distribution drive. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
So for Gita Jayanti Yajna, $108 for a chapter sponsor. So you'll get one box of Bhagavad Gita. So if you like to do that, let us know. So, Hare Krishna. Shri Shri Radha Shyam Sundar ki jai. Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Sodhar Maharaj Shri Sudarshan ji ki jai. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. Panchatattva ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Take Mahaprasad on the other side.
We'd like to thank Vajana Prabhu for sponsoring the clock. So let's thank him with a loud Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. There are two other clocks, both in the community hall and inside. They're not working. Somehow the battery needs to be checked, otherwise it needs to be replaced.